Dilip Kumar, Part 13. Madhubala was, no doubt, the right choice for the role of Anarkali. She grasped the essence of the character in no time with her agile intelligence. Yes, there was talk of our marriage while the shooting of Mughal-e-Azam was in progress in the 1950s. Contrary to popular notions, her father Atullah Khan was not opposed to her marrying me. He had his own production company and he was only too glad to have two stars under the same roof. Had I not seen the whole business from my own point of view, it would have been just what he wanted. That is, Dilip Kumar and Madhubala holding hands and singing duets in his productions till the end of our career. When I learned about his plans from Madhu, I explained to both of them that I had my own way of functioning and selecting projects, and I would not show any laxity even if it were my own production house. I must have tilted the apple cart for him, and he successfully convinced Madhu that I was being rude and presumptuous. I told her in all sincerity and honesty that I did not mean any offense and it was in her interest and mine as artists to keep our professional options away from any personal considerations. She was naturally inclined to agree with her father, and she persisted in trying to convince me that it would all be sorted out once we married. My instincts, however, predicted a situation in which I would be trapped and all the hard work and dedication I had invested in my career would be blown away by helpless surrender to someone else's dictates and strategies. I had many upfront discussions with her father, and she, not surprisingly, remained neutral and unmoved by my dilemma. The scenario was not very pleasant and it was heading inevitably to a dead end. In the circumstances, therefore, it seemed best that we did not decide to marry or even give each other a chance to rethink because my resolve by then had become strongly against a union that would not be good for either of us. I was truly relieved when we parted because I had also begun to get an inkling that it was all very well to be working together as artists, but in marriage, it is important for a woman to be ready to give more than receive. I had grown up seeing Amma's steadfast devotion to the family and her flawless character as a woman. I was now increasingly seized with the feeling that I was letting myself into a relationship more on the rebound than out of a genuine need for a permanent companion. What is more, I did not want to share a lifetime with someone whose priorities were different from mine. Besides, she certainly would have been drawn to other colleagues in the profession as I found out, and they to her, but that was not an issue because I was myself surfacing from one emotional upheaval at that point of time. The parting of ways did not affect me as was concocted by writers in the media. Journalists were not as rash as they were now, but they were just as unmindful of factual accuracy when they wrote about actors. Some of them wrote authoritatively in their gossip magazines and attributed my choosing to remain a bachelor all my life to the assumed heartbreak of not marrying Madhubala. The story had sentimental appeal for readers. Nobody bothered to check out the facts, and at that point of time, I was far too absorbed in my work and my family responsibilities to give clarifications. Let me state categorically that I chose to remain a bachelor because I had young sisters to be married off, and for me, the taking care of and ensuring the happiness of my brothers and sisters were paramount. As mentioned earlier, Amma was ailing with an acute respiratory disorder, and Agaji was trying hard to hide the debilitating impact of advancing age from all of us. He was not one to ask for a helping hand to rise from a chair or descend a steep staircase. He was dressed and ready every morning to visit his fruit shop. The premature death of Ayub Sahab had dealt an emotional blow from which my parents could only pretend to recover. Another widespread canard was that the breakup between Madhubala and me caused the heart condition that finally claimed Madhubala's life. The heart condition that was diagnosed was congenital in her. It was unfortunate that she began to succumb to the condition and had to discontinue the commitments she had made to producers. I had become a star by the early 1950s, and Agaji was reconciled to the truth that whatever he had wished for me in all his prayers had been granted by the Almighty. The initial unhappiness and hurt pride that he experienced when he came to know that the son on whom he had pinned hopes of achievements as a high ranking bureaucrat or statesman had become an entertainer had given way to grateful and humble acceptance of the will of the Almighty. Among my brothers and sisters, I knew I was the one whom both Agazi and Amma trusted implicitly for shouldering in ever so many unspoken and unanticipated ways the responsibility of educating and settling the daughters and sons who were younger than I. Nur Sahib had married and moved out with his wife. My eldest sister, Sakina Appa, remained unmarried, and as Amma often felt, it was prudential that she was single, as her unyielding character was not suited for a successful marriage. As she grew older, she mellowed and became softer in her relationship with Amma, but willful she still was. It was always worrying for Amma how her eldest daughter would live her life alone in the world, and whenever she spoke of it, her moist eyes would search for an assuring whisper from me. I loved Amma deeply. She was the fountainhead of all the merits and virtues we, her children, possessed. She dealt with all the exigencies of life with a quiet poise and calmness of mind. I took pleasure even as a child in observing her when she prayed. As I grew up, I began to feel that the time she took off from her chores for prayer was her time in her own space to meditate and attain control over her mind and thoughts and achieve that nearness to the Supreme Being, which is a rare achievement. She appeared frail and delicate, but she was strong and invincible inside. Agaji and I knew it. Let me get back to the main narrative. Madhubala's father, in a bid to show me his authority, got her entangled in a lawsuit with producer director B.R. Chopra by suddenly making a fuss about the long outdoor work scheduled for Naya Daur, giving her heart condition as the reason for her withdrawal from the film. He came up with an excuse about his daughter's inability to work at the outdoor locations in Bhopal and Pune for the film after some reels were canned. Chopra Saab was upset and very angry because it was made clear at the very outset when the script narration was given to the artists that it was an outdoor film. There were all sorts of conclusions drawn by people who did not know sequence of events and the true background when Chopra Sahab, who held a bachelor's degree in law before he took to journalism in Lahore in the pre-independence period, took legal steps to challenge the whimsicality on Madhu's part. As a fellow artist, I could do little but fall in line with the producer's decision to replace Madhu with Vaijayantmala when all sincere and genuine efforts on my part to negotiate an easy compromise without making the issue public became futile. I did feel sorry for Madhubala and wished she had the will to protect her interests, at least on the professional front, without thoughtlessly bowing to her father's wishes all the time. Such submission had an adverse impact not only on her professional reputation but also on her health needlessly. All through my career, I respected the producer's right as an employer to discipline the cast and crew and demand cooperation from them once the contract was signed. Vaijayantimala and I had worked with a fair measure of respect and understanding in Bimal Roy's Devadas, and Chopra Saab had liked her work. She had played the role of Chandramukhi, a tender hearted dancing girl. He had heard from his own sources that she was hardworking and malleable as an artist. Chopra Sahab went ahead with the replacement of Madhwala by Vaijayantmala without wasting time once he accepted the situation that all the shooting done with Madhubala would have to go into cold storage and the loss of time and substantial funds would have to be reconciled with. The announcement of the renewal of the project and the start of fresh shooting for Nayador created a stir in the media. Much of what appeared in the media was misreporting by gossip writers who twisted and twirled facts to make them palatable to readers. Like Chopra Sahab, I took it all in my stride, though it caused anger and pain at times when I was made to appear as if I had got Madhubala out of the film, while the truth was that her father pulled her out. Thank you very much.